So, hello, welcome to St Matthew's All Age Slot this week, and we're going to be looking at a journey where seemingly there was no way out, but God found a way to solve a problem. And in order to do this, we're going to hop into 4 different places because this story, these journeys are all about onions. They're about layers, and they peel back to reveal something about each one of them. First stop, ancient Egypt. Let's go. So we join the Israelites on the banks of the river amongst the reeds. Now, if you want to hear the whole story about how an entire nation ended up here, then you're going to have to turn to the book of Exodus, or maybe invest an afternoon in the Prince of Egypt. Well worth it. But the short version goes something like this. The Israelites were in slavery in Egypt, and they were crying out to God saying, help us, rescue us. So God sends Moses to them. Moses goes to Pharaoh and says, let these people go. And there's loads of plagues which end up with the last one being the one of the death of the firstborn, where the angel of death comes and kills the firstborn in Egypt, and the only way that the Israelites survive is if they kill a lamb and smear the blood around the door frame. And so Pharaoh says, look, just get out, leave us alone. And so they do, and so Moses leads the people to the banks of the Red Sea, and in the distance they can see the chariots of the Egyptian army coming because Pharaoh's changed his mind, and they're stuck there. And then God does the most amazing thing. He parts the waves and provides them with a crossing, a way to get through, and it's one that the people of Israel would never forget. So stop 2 is with Isaiah, and I was thinking about how to show this and go with this. So Isaiah lived in a time when Israel was so scared that they were going to be invaded by the Assyrians that had they had their sofas, they would have hidden behind them and cowered behind them. So that's what he was doing, and he had these 2 things to say. The first one was he was talking to God and said, remember, Lord, when you dried up the sea and made a road for the redeemed people to cross over, we could do with you doing that again. Referring back to that story we've just heard about. And looking forward a couple of chapters, he describes the coming Messiah as like a lamb who is going to be killed. And that leaps us on to Jesus. So then we get to Jesus, and since Easter is the most amazing thing that's happened in the history of the world ever, it just can't be contained within 1 week's worth of talks. So we're going to start now, and the reason for that is there are layers to the Easter story which relate back to the story we've just heard about Passover. Why was Jesus going to Jerusalem in the first place? Well, he was going to celebrate the Passover feast with his friends. What's the Passover feast? Well, it's when they eat the unleavened bread and the lamb. And remember, when the people of Israel were in Egypt and they couldn't see a way out, God provided them with one. And then we layer in the idea of what Isaiah has said about the suffering servant who's going to provide them a way out. He's going to be a lamb led to the slaughter. Why? Because the stuff we do wrong, people couldn't see a way out, and yet God was about to provide one. So here I am again on my sofa, lockdown 2021, coming up to the anniversary of when we first went into lockdown. Left with those thoughts. When is it all going to end? When can I see my friends and go back to doing those things that we really want to do? Well, I hope those stories give us a sense of the message that we can proclaim. There's a worship song by Elevation Music called Do It Again, and it has these lines in it. You made a way when there was no way, and I believe you're going to do it again. And this Easter, maybe that's the story that we need to be proclaiming. We believe in a God who has sorted out solutions to major problems that nobody else could see a way out of. And I believe He's going to do it again. Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today, and forever. Amen.